All right, welcome to our MMA UFC 278 show presented by LineStar. Once again, we are here with Chris breaking down the slate. And now let's start off with a little talk about the San Diego card we had last week.
Historic San Diego card.
It was a money one. It was real fun. You
Crazy
crushed
card.
it. You had the underdogs on lock.
I had a career day, and if you read the weekly KO, you're probably, like I said, bought some oceanfront property, going yacht shopping. I had a great day. Yeah. All the sleepers hit, every single one of them, and a plus 625 on a KO finish for Cachoeira. And I bet all of them. I bet up in a ladder. So, I'm a budget gambler, so I put 20 on the first fight, and then I won. So I bet on another, and then another. And I went all the way to the top.
Yeah.
I turned 20 into over 200, almost $250. It was
little
great
10x. I like it.
Ooh.
I like it. Well,
great.
Hopefully we got some more this week. I'll start off too by last time we had the show, called out Morano, who dude had a good fight.
Yeah. Well, look, hey, I didn't call him out because I think he's a scrub. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I know he's got skills. I think he's got skills, but I'd like to just see how I could do with these dudes. You know what I mean? Because I've been in there at amateur levels, so been in there with some professionals, sparring and stuff. I'd take that fight. I would still take that fight.
Right.
I like
the confidence.
The other guy, he didn't fight a very smart fight. There was no takedowns attempts. There wasn't, none of that. He didn't really let his right hand go. But Morano did look good. I told you, he's a sleeper.
Yeah.
He's like an underdog. He's like 11-4.
He looked good. Definitely. Which brings us to the next question. What everybody's waiting for. Who are you taking on today?
Who's the call out? Who's a WWE call out right here? This one's going to surprise you, but you ever seen that footage of Conor McGregor fighting the Mountain? Have you ever seen that?
No.
Where he's sparring the guy who plays the Mountain in Game of Thrones, and he's just picking him apart from. Conor was whooping him. Yeah. Giving him the business. I think I can have a similar game plan with Harry Hunsucker, who's fighting Tyson Pedro if he survives.
Hunsucker's a lot bigger than you are.
I'll give him a little bit of weight, but I got about $150 on me. But I'm gonna be in and out. I'm gonna be water, my friend. I'm gonna be quick.
Tough call out. You didn't want to go against Hamity last time with his lunchbox for hands. But now you are Hunsucker.
I'm going Hunsucker. I mean, and that's if he survives Tyson Pedro, because that's a tough fight. I'll give this to Harry Hunsucker. This dude takes tough fights, fights he has no business being in. So we'll see how that one goes.
All right. And now if this is the first time you're watching us, we do start from the bottom of the card, early prelims, and then work our way to the main event. So we'll get into it now with Victor Altamirano at minus 170 versus Daniel De Silva plus 140. Now, personally, I kind of like this fight. It's not getting much ownership in the DFS circles. And the prize picks lines are kind of interesting to me. 62.5 significant strikes for Altamirano. Fight time, 10 minutes. And Altamirano, 1.5 takedowns are kind of their lines.
Yeah, that sounds about right. There's always something about people around plus 250, and there's always something about the first fight of the night.
Yep.
It just, you always take a look at that fight. Daniel Lacerda, the thing about him is he's a killer. He was 11-1 coming into the UFC. 6 submissions, 5. He's 100% finishing rate, 5 TKO KOs. Even in his first fight, he fought Jeff Molina. He got thrown to the wolves. Jeff Molina is a little killer. Looked great in that first round. I mean, he was giving Jeff Molina all sorts of problems. He's got a very active guard from his back. He can work from the top, either one. Got caught in the second round, kind of gassed out looking for the submission. Fought Francisco Figueiredo, who's also on this card. In his second fight, got subbed quick. But still has his moments. He's got explosive striking on the feet, a lot of flashy spinning stuff. He can catch you with that kind of stuff. And then he's fearless on the ground. I mean, even if he ends up on the bottom, whatever, top, he's got a great chance at a submission win. So I think right out the gate, you got an upset special brewing right there. Victor Altamirano, I'm picking him to win. I just think if he all he has to do is he has to survive that early storm.
Yeah.
That De Silva is going to come after him with, and if he can do that, he's got a high output. He's a combination striker. He's got dance revolution, head movement and stuff. I mean, he's always stays moving. Got good hands, puts combinations together well. Can even get some trip takedowns if De Silva gets tired. So I like the value in him early on. Also, a finish is gonna. I like a late finish for Victor Altamirano because Daniel De Silva gasses.
Yeah.
He's got that Herbert Burns 5-minute cardio, so he's gonna give you 5 minutes of toughness, and then after that, Victor Morano's fight.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that we do see a finish here. Daniel's the likely only way he wins is off a finish.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely an interesting one for me.
And Daniel De Silva submission plus 350.
There's some
and
value
that's
there.
likely how if he's going to win. That's how it's going to be. He's either going to get up on top, or he's going to roll and end up on bottom and work a submission game from there.
I like it. So we'll move on to the next fight with Arichi Long, a.k.a. the Mongolian Murderer, versus Jason Perrin. Arichi's minus 140. Perrin is plus 115.
Yeah, Arichi Long, he's a tough dude. He throws hammers on the feet. He's got wrestling in his tool belt. He can take the fight wherever he wants it. Jay Perrin, I think this is his second fight in the UFC. He had a tough fight the first time. He's got a good chin. He's got pretty decent kickboxing. He's going to be who did he fight? Yeah, he fought Mario Batista, who's a good striker. He's got very good boxing in his first fight. He's going to be a little behind the 8 ball, but again, Arichi Long, he's been got late in fights. So if Perrin can hang in there, I just think Arichi Long's power. I think if he can crack him a couple of times, it's going to change the fight.
I think there's a good good chance that this one is going the distance, though.
Yeah, you know what? Because Perrin's a tough dude. If you did want to go, you'd be looking at a Arichi Lang. You're looking at plus 315 if you wanted to bet on something like that. There is a long shot at that. I don't see Perrin being able to score a finish, but I could see him outpointing.
Yeah,
I can see this going 3 hard rounds. They both have good outputs. So if you're looking for a lower tier guy fantasy wise, Jay Perrin might be a good guy to go for. You don't know a whole lot about him. I know he's on the Contender Series. These guys come out there and they surprise you. Arichi Lang. He's coming off of 2. So he fought Jeff Molina. That was an L. He fought Cody Durden, who I thought was, a good fight for him. And he got smoked for portions of that fight. He came on late early in that fight. He was behind. He's coming off of a dub. So he's only a 1-2 in the UFC. So Arichi Long, as a favorite that he is, there's some good value on Perrin.
Nice. All right. And so next we'll go to Amir Albazi versus Francisco Figueiredo. Now this is kind of an interesting fight. Will Amir even try and go to the ground? Will he implement that takedown game that we're kind of accustomed to him? Another note is that Prize Picks has him at 2 takedowns.
Yeah, so we were talking about this before. It's like, do you want Figueiredo's best chance is a submission, and he's a good guy. He's a good submission artist from his back. I think 4 of his 6 or something of his submissions, of his 8 career submissions are from his back, initiated from his guard. He's coming off of a knee bar submission of De Silva, who we just talked about. That's initiated from the guard. So if you do have a guy like Albazi who likes to use his wrestling, when you're looking at other grapplers, you want guys who have good guards, who can end the fight from their back. So you do have that value in Figueiredo if Albazi chooses to go that route. But why would you if I'm Albazi, why would I want to even give him a chance and fight anywhere in his specialty?
That's exactly my point with Amir. And if he doesn't get those takedowns, at least for DFS, there's not really the value there for him.
He
doesn't have quite enough output. Francisco doesn't have the output.
Yeah, he has 4 TKO wins, but not. On his feet, he's not a killer. I think he is a better kickboxer than Figueiredo. Figueiredo's long. He's kind of tricky. He fights with his hands low, just like his brother. If you guys don't know, Davis and Figueiredo, the champ, 125-pound champ. This is his brother, Francisco, and he's slick. Submissions, got 8 submissions as well. He fights with his hands low, but he's kind of like a knockoff version of his brother's stand-up. Like, he doesn't have the power.
He's like Sock'em Rock'em Robot version.
He's the true value version of his brother, the Kirkland brand of his brother. he doesn't have like the range management that his brother has. So he's going to have to do it on his back. So I would give Albazi, if it does stay standing, if it's smart and he does do that, I think he's got enough kickboxing. He can use the leg kicks and stuff like that. Yeah. But he'll, it'll be a closer fight that way.
Yeah. The thing that's interesting to me is just like, Albazi, that's what he does. He likes to take guys to the ground, kind of do some ground and pound and all that. And like, can he get away from pushing that way? How he pushes all his fights.
If he can push the pace early on the feet, get Figueiredo tired, because Figueiredo's they gas. Well, I'll give his brother Davison. He's come a long way with his gas tank, because he's gone hard rounds against against the champ now. But his little brother, he not so much. So if Albazi can push the pace on the feet, if he's aggressive on the feet, especially in the early 5 minutes, then those takedowns become easier, and now he can work his top game. Maybe get a submission, and then you're playing a late submission. If I'm looking at Albazi, if I want to try to earn some points or look for a good bet.
And Albazi's ownership isn't necessarily that high, so there is some value there as far as going DFS. Figueiredo on the other side, he might be a little too high owned for me. He's only around 20%, but I just don't see his value in DFS paying off with his low output unless he can get a first-round finish.
It's all or nothing with him. He's got to get the submission. And here's the thing. When you're working off your back, you're going to lose rounds unless you get the submission or you have really close submission attempts. So that's always tricky when you have guys that want to end the fight from their back, is that they're going to spend the whole round on their back if they're taking down. And they're not trying to look to get back to their feet because they have the fight where they want it to go, where they want it to be. So it's always tricky playing these guys with regard.
Totally. So, all right, well, that's an interesting fight. Now we'll go to another one that I actually find very interesting, and it's AJ Fletcher at -165 versus Ang Losa at +135. Now, Fletcher's prize picks lines, 45.5 significant strikes and 2.5 takedowns.
Who was that for?
For Fletcher.
For Fletcher. Okay.
Yeah.
4.5?
45.5 significant. Okay. Oh, yeah. Significant strikes, 2.5 takedowns.
Yeah. So that's going to be the key for this. He's a short, little, explosive wrestler.
Yes.
He's got the wrestler striker on his feet. So right hand, left hook. That's basically what wrestler strikers have, because they're used to shooting. So they have really good piston right hands. Ange Lusa, man, he's got good takedown defense. I saw him in his first fight. He fought Munir Lazez in his debut. And this dude, Munir Lazez, is a killer.
Yeah,
he's a killer, and he crushes a lot. On the stand-up, he hung with him. Ange Lusa, if he can stay on his feet, I think that he's going to have a serious chance in winning this one.
Lusa does have a significant reach advantage too.
Yeah, so I mean, and I've always said I would rather fight somebody bigger than me, a Hunsucker, than a guy that's a lot longer than me, a lot taller than me, because it's harder to overcome reach than size up to a certain point at least. So if I'm looking, the chalk pick is taking the wrestler to take him down and be able to control enough rounds. I think late in the rounds, when you push a pace like that, when you're constantly wrestling and constantly trying to get takedowns, that third round, you're looking in the half of the second round, the second half of the second round and into the third round, that's all going to be Lusa. I think I took Lusa.
You did take
Lusa.
Did I take Lusa? Yeah. And so what do you think about Lusa's ground game if he does get taken down?
I haven't seen a whole lot of it. I saw that he is tough to take down, but when he does get taken down, he's not going to a type of dude that gets just stuck on his back. He tries to get back to his feet and get it back standing. He's got a good camp. I think he's got a real good shot in this one. I mean, the unknown really is AJ Fletcher, what you're going to get out of AJ Fletcher. Yeah. He's an explosive dude. I think he won his contender fight. He won with a flying knee, with like an explosive movement. But is he, what's the dog going to look like? You have a guy who in Ange Lusa, who averages 5.5 significant strikes per minute versus a guy who's 2.5 significant strikes per minute on the feet. So Lusa pushes that pace. We'll see what AJ Fletcher, those takedowns are going to they're going to tail off late in the fight. So I like Ange Lusa.
Yeah. In the article, you do have him as a decision winner.
Ange Lusa, yeah. Yep. I think they're both really tough. I think it's going to be tough for either one of them to finish. I would actually think that if you said, hey, this fight does end in a finish, I would say Lusa on the feet.
Yeah, nice. All right, now we'll go into the next fight. We have Miranda Maverick at a huge minus 650 favorite over Shana Young plus 450. Now, this is pretty much Maverick's fight here. Personally, I think she might be a little bit of a fraud, but should be an easy one.
You said it, not me. At least I'm not.
I mean, I don't want to fight her.
No,
I don't want to fight her.
She's strong. She's a big girl.
Yeah.
I mean, she's very strong. I think so too. She's kind of got that. That Rex Kwon Do, Mall Karate kind of stand up, very stiff, boxy, a lot of sharp edges. You don't want to get caught on her. She's her ground game is like supposed to be her bread and butter, but when you've seen her use it, it's not it's nothing crazy. She's a really athletic, strong fighter. So that's why you're seeing her.
And her line with takedowns is 2 for this fight.
She's going to have to get the takedowns in this fight. Shana Young, she's a tough fighter. She's got some decent stand-up. Mm-hmm. She could even score a takedown. Mm-hmm. Maverick, when some of her losses, she was taken down and controlled from the top position. She's not very good on her back. So if she ends up on the ground, Shana Young gets to the clinch, can trip her. Mm-hmm. A lot of these wrestlers, a lot of these people who have good top games don't have good bottom games. They don't match. Maverick is a little bit of that if she ends up on her back. I think this is a toss-up. What are the odds on this one?
Minus 650 and plus 450.
Plus 450. I mean, there's she should never be that high of a favorite, against really anybody. That's
kind of the thing to me. I don't think Young is that great. However, I don't think Maverick is either.
I think they're these fights are like when they're middle of the road kind of fighters and they're average fighters are very hard to pick, but that makes them toss-ups. So when you have somebody like Shana Young at plus 450, there's a lot of value in that, especially a fight that's probably going to go the distance.
The interesting thing to me, too, is the fact that we don't know as much about Young.
Right. I've seen some of her. She's tough in the clinch. She's got some trip takedowns. She's tough on the feet. Is kind of So I think when you have these guys, I think it's going to end up being a stand-up bout. I think it's going to be kind of
as it does
ugly
a lot
back
of
and
times.
forth. When you have good fighters, if Maverick's able to score a couple trip takedowns of her own, maybe. But you're kind of looking at middle of the road kind of numbers with both of them. So it's kind of a toss-up. So if you're stuck in a position, I'd rather take for fantasy. I'd rather take Young, who's going to have similar.
Similar output, a lot cheaper with, you think it's a coin toss win.
Yeah. Possible chance of scoring some takedowns herself.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's interesting. I did not think that you would be saying Young has as good of a chance as she does at the upset.
I'm picking Maverick. I just think her athletic ability is going to obviously be the difference in it, but I think it's a lot closer than that.
Minus 650 is a huge favorite.
I think it's a coin flip.
Yeah.
Because I'm like you. I've never been, and no disrespect. I've never been impressed by her. She was like really highly touted coming up, and I haven't seen the killer instinct. She doesn't have that dog. She doesn't have that Nate Landwehr in her.
He doesn't have the killer instinct.
Ooh.
He wants to celebrate.
Instead
of ending it, he's like, "Woo, it's party time!"
Goodness, that was the last bet I had on deck too. It's like end him, finish him.
Oh yeah,
that was a crazy fight. Though.
It could be fight of the year.
Could very well
could
in the fight of the year. I think that was the Matt Schnell fight a couple weeks ago. Those two fights neck and neck.
Yeah, his comeback was great.
Matt Schnell and Muta Jerry. That was a crazy fight.
I think you had Schnell in that for the weekly knockout too.
I had him as the underdog.
Yeah.
Did I bet on him? I might have even bet on him that day.
So, all right. So we'll move on to Sean Woodson, minus 360 versus Luis Saldana at plus 270. Woodson, prize picks line 75.5 significant strikes and 14.75 fight time. So they're pretty much saying it's going the distance.
Listen, I kind of like the Woodson finish late. I like a late finish. If you're gonna play Sean Woodson, I like playing this dude Saldana. He's good. He's a whirlwind early in the fight. Fades. Gas tank fades. Woodson not so much. Woodson's long. super long. He's got the slowest striking you've ever seen. His hand speed is just like, he's just lumbering, but he puts his punches together very well. And one thing he does well is he attacks the body. So when you have somebody like Saldana, who already has cardio issues late in fights, and you have a guy who's going to work his body, I mean, literally shoe shine his body up against the cage if he's able to trap him. Woodson's going to work him. He's going to grind him down. I like a late finish
Nice.
for Woodson. I like Woodson in this fight. I have questions about Saldana. He showed, he's got the spinning attacks. He's got the the flashy techniques. He'll have those moments where he puts combinations together real well. He'll have a chance early in the fight. I could even see him trying to tie up Woodson and try to get him up against the cage and try to drag him to the ground. He had a tough, close fight in his last fight. I just think Woodson's a better fighter. Woodson got onto the UFC through the Contender Series with a KO, a flying knee KO of Terrence McKinney. So big dub for him to get in. You saw what Terrence McKinney did a couple weeks ago.
I mean, McKinney's been a beast.
And he got taken down in the first round. Woodson got taken down in that first round, had the fight, get back to his feet, survived that first round, came out in the second round, threw a flying knee, knocks his guy out. You don't even just standing as a flying knee for him because he's like super tall. Right. But I like Woodson. I think if you're gonna play Woodson, you definitely want to go with the finish. Sean Woodson by TKO plus 150 submission. He's not a submission artist, but 1,000. And I always point this out with strikers because you get guys that can get a lot of knockdowns. Woodson had a couple knockdowns in his last fight, and you snatched the neck, and that's how strikers get submissions. So when you see that, it's not always far-fetched. Luis Saldana, KO. If he lets those hands go early and can start something, plus 675. It was plus 625, which was my Cochuera last week. But plus 675, if you're looking and you want to play Saldana, he's going to have to finish the fight. I don't see him winning enough rounds. I don't see him having the cardio to win a decision. So if you want Saldana plus 675 for a TKO KO, that's probably the only way he's going to have a chance to win the fight, and you're getting crazy money right there.
Yeah, no, that's pretty solid money.
Turn 20 into $1.50, $1.55, something like that.
Yeah. And so next up we have Jared Gooden versus Leonardo Santos. Gooden is minus 275, Santos plus 220. Now I know you like this one.
I like this one. And they've actually bet him down even lower now, plus 210. So we'll get that Leonardo Santos right now. When it started, I think he was plus 240 just like a few days ago.
He's been getting hit hard.
This is hard. I mean, this is crazy that Leonardo Santos is a dog like this. I mean, I like Jared Gordon. I think he's a really tough all-around fighter. I didn't like his last fight against Grant Dawson. I thought he got taken down. He wasn't able to get back to his feet. He was allowed to, he got controlled. But he's a very good overall fighter. He's 18-5 for his career. He's fought all sorts of people. He's got a win over Joe Solecki. Danny Chavez is a killer. Fought Charles Oliveira. Got knocked out, but hey. So he's got some. Diego Fiera, he fought him. He's got some good wins on his record as well. Tough all around fighter. I think what they're looking at with Santos is he's lost his last two. He's a Brazil UFC Ultimate Fighter Brazil, I think season 2 winner. Went 7-0-1. For his career up until his last 2 fights. Just doesn't fight enough. And each of his last 2 losses, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. He should have won both of them. He was literally 1 second away from beating Grant Dawson. He ends up on his back with 10 seconds left in the fight and gets hit with a punch at the buzzer from the top, and he's knocked out. Yeah. Then he fights Clay Guida. I don't know if you saw that fight. Go watch the first round of that fight. I mean, he's cracking Clay Guida all over, cracking him like a Conor McGregor tib fib, all over the cage. And then he gassed out trying to finish him. And late in that first round, he started to slow down, and then he got finished in the second round. But those are 2 fights that he very well could have won, really should have won both of them, and he'd be 9-0-1 in the UFC. Yeah. So you're getting a guy, his striking, I've always kind of slept on Santos' striking. I watched a couple of his fights leading into this one, and his striking is subtly really good. It's not flashy at all. It's very upright. It's very stiff, but he uses his hands in front of him to deflect, and he's got sneaky counters. He's got nasty leg kicks, and he's a ground. He's got excellent jiu-jitsu on the ground. So does Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon is not so much a danger on the feet. He's got the typical wrestler striking type of striking, but you got a guy in Santos who has 9 submissions for his career at 18 wins. So 50% submissions.
I was surprised he's this big of an underdog.
I was surprised he was underdog.
Yeah, I mean, me too, but I didn't want to go all the way there.
But submission so if you get a submission for Leonardo Santos, plus 700, lots of or even a TKO, there. Plus 550. He's got sneaky hands. I'm telling you.
What is it for finish?
Let's see. Winner by finish only. Plus 145 for Leonardo Santos. Minus 190 for Jared Gordon. So they think it looks like they think that Jared Gordon is going to finish Leonardo Santos. That's probably because his cardio's iffy after that last Clay Guida fight. Gassed out in the first round but I mean he must have thrown like 150 200 strikes trying to finish Clay Guida, so that had a lot to do with it. I mean he went basically the full 5 rounds against Grant Dawson in a really tough grappling striking type of match. So I like Leonardo Santos here, even just straight up at plus 210 if you don't want to get into the props. The easiest way is always to bet straight up who wins or loses.
Totally.
So
and if you're going underdog, it's not a bad idea just going that way and be a little more safe with it.
Yeah, because the more specific you get, you're trying to predict who wins it, how, and when. And that's why you get those kind of odds.
It's essentially parlaying one fight.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and now we get to the... Oh, no, we're not quite at the main event because Alexander Romanov got kicked off the main event, but he's minus 400 versus Marcin Tybura at plus 290. Now, this is one you and I are a little different on here.
Very different.
I think Romanov, it's going to be all Romanov.
Tools him? Yeah. Tools him. Just throws him outside of the cage, suplexes him out of the octagon.
Pretty much.
Into the first row.
Romanov, his body keeps improving. He keeps working hard. You totally see a change in that.
He's
got... Tybura, who he's fought...
I'll give this to Tybura. He has a lot of experience on him because Alexander Romanov, if you look at his record, I mean, he just hasn't fought a lot of great fighters. He is 16-0. Marcin Tybura has been in there with a lot of dudes. I'm with you on Alexander Romanov. I've been on the train since day one.
We've
chronicled him since day one, since his debut.
You have been.
The only thing is that Juan Espino fight. I don't know if you go back and watch that fight. He was tooling Juan Espino from the top position, and then it got into the second round, and he gassed. And in the third round, he was about to lose the fight, and there was a low blow or something like that. It was a low blow, and Alexander Romanov knew that if it went to a no contest, that they have to go to the scorecards.
Yeah,
he wanted a way out because he was about to lose that fight. So that's the big red flag that I see. He gassed heavy in that fight against a guy who he couldn't completely dominate on the ground. And Tybura's no chump on the ground. So I think if he can get it to the second round, to that 1.5 round mark, that 7.5 minute mark of the fight, I think it's going to be all Tybura after that.
Now, it's interesting you bring that up, too. The Prize Picks line on fight time is 11 minutes. So they have it getting into the third round.
And if that happens, it's going to be Tybura. I don't know that. I mean, maybe Romanov has better cardio than we know. Maybe there was something going on there. We'll find out this time. But if it gets that far, I think it's going to be a Tybura fight. I think value on Tybura in a late finish or just playing a finish straight up plus 700 for a TKO. That's crazy money. Plus 150 for a KO from Alexander Romanov. Plus 150 is crazy. That's great money too, and a submission for him plus 375. Watch the forearm choke from Romanov. Have you seen this? It's disgusting. This choke. He gets on top of you from the mountain. He literally just puts his forearm in you, and he frames like this, and he just puts all his weight on you across your throat. It's a bully schoolyard choke. It's what you would see on the playground somewhere when you were a kid. And he submitted Nascimento with that.
He's got some weight behind it too.
He's killer. I mean, he's a killer. I mean, my only question for him is, I know he doesn't at this moment. He does not have the dog in him. I saw it when he doesn't have the dog in him, and he doesn't have the cardio as of right now. So I'm playing the long haul. I'm sorry, Tybura can survive on the mat early, get the late finish. I
like the take. I mean, it's not one you're gonna find elsewhere, so it is good. Plus 290, some great value there as far as an underdog. So I like it. And now we go into the next match and the main event. It is Chris Guy versus Harry Hunsucker. We got Tyson Pedro minus 850 versus Harry Hunsucker plus 525. Now, the one thing I saw with this fight that was startling to me, Prize Picks has the fight time at 3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes.
Bovada was a minus 385 for under 1.5 rounds.
Oh, -3. Whoa. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I think, and if you look at Hunsucker, let me check real quick. I'm pretty sure every single one of his fights has ended in the first round. Look at this. Every one of his fights has ended in the first round.
Oh yeah, either him
win or
winning,
lose, good for good or bad, better or for worse. This is probably going to end in the first round because every single one of his fights has ended in the first round. 4 of them under a minute.
Yeah.
And he wins those. But Tyson Pedro, he's coming back. I think they're kind of trying to slow play him. He had a long hiatus. He had some rough wars before he left for a while from the UFC. He came back. They gave him I can't even remember who they gave him. He got an easy dub, and this is another one. This guy is a Hunsucker, is a guy who came in on short notice off of the Contender Series, filled in for some fights, and he's doing it again. I mean, hey, to go and fight a guy like Tyson Pedro like this, just when you're basically just being fed to the wolves right here.
Yeah.
A lot of respect to the guy. But Tyson Pedro is going to win by TKO. That's just how it's going to be.
Now, the big thing is Pedro is the most expensive person on the slate for daily fantasy. It's 9,500, obviously the biggest favorite. The thing for him is when is he going to finish?
He's got to do it early to justify that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you think he can finish within a minute?
1 minute?
Mm-hmm. Because that's kind of the make it break it point at his price point. If this fight doesn't get out of the first round, the only way he's paying off that price point is a first minute dub or later in the first where he's able to really put on some damage.
That's what's going to happen because I think what he's going to come out and do is work leg kicks. So he's going to throw leg kicks. That's going to take some time off the clock, and then he's going to kind of work his way in with the hands. He's not going to just come out swinging through the fences. So the 1 minute mark, I'm probably not there, but the first round, I'm there.
Yeah.
With the first round finish, I think he's going to chop that leg up, and then he's going to open up with those hands. He's got quick, fast hands, and I think this is just another one of those just to keep him active to try to build up another name in the heavyweight division that they can move up. So it's kind of like, get it over to play fastball for him that, Cal Ripken 2001 All-Star game to groove the pitch and let him hit the home run kind of deal for him. And even a TKO win for him, -200, that's great. That's great odds. I mean, -200 for a finish.
Pretty solid.
That's about right around where the negatives. That's like the limit of where I'll play negative money.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll bring it to the next fight. We got Lucy Pavlova versus Yan Wu. So Pavlova is -120. Wu is even money here.
Even money.
This fight is also probably likely going to decision.
Yeah.
-400 for over 2.5 rounds.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do with this one. I think Pudilova wins this. Listen, both of these fighters, I think Pudilova is 2-5 in the UFC. This is her second stint with the UFC. Yan Wu is 1-4. So you're looking at people they combined 3-9. That's like a PC principal Chase Sherman record right there. It's not how this made it on the main event, on the main card. I don't know what they're thinking with that. Yan Wu, she's got good striking. She stays moving well. She could put punches together. But Lucy Pudilova, from what I've seen from her, she's more of a power striker.
Yeah.
There's a long shot chance at a finish with Pudilova, I think. But yeah, she's gonna win the decision more than likely. I think Pudilova is just gonna be a little more power. I think Wu can outwork her.
Yes.
Might be able to steal some rounds. Just because she has this motion that's just always moving, always pumping the jabs.
So Pavlova can't kind of key into that motion and get it figured out, then Wu could get a couple rounds.
She could, yeah. She can just outwork her. I think Pudilova's a more reserved striker. Coming with straight right hands, left hand. She's more of a one punch striker. So when you throw combinations, there's difference in like cadence. So like a combination is boom boom, and then a one punch striker will throw 1, 2. So that's a one-punch striker. She's more of that kind of cadence,
Mm-hmm.
where she's not going to put combinations together. Yan Wu, she just goes for it. I'll give this to her. She's fearless. She goes in there and fights. She's always competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Even though she's 1-4 in the UFC, they throw her to the wolves, and she's always competitive. But
Yeah.
I just think Pudilova, I think she's going to land the more impactful shots.
Yeah.
So I think that'll probably might be able to sway the judges.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know with the judges. Some of them like volume more than that. Some people like damage more than volume. So
my worry with this fight is I don't know if there's going to be quite enough volume.
yeah.
You know, and if it's going to the scorecard, may not pay off those the prices there.
Yeah, and you have two people who don't really average any takedowns. They average 4.5, around 4 significant strikes. But you're looking at Yan Wu has hit over 100 strikes one time in her career. In a way, Mizuki, but that girl is a killer. So that was a fight that Mizuki was pushing the pace on that one. And Pudilova, she's hit 100 before also. So I think you're probably around looking at that 75-80 striking range because they're going to be in their feet. It's going to stand up. I don't see them working too much in the clinch. I think they're just going to stand and bang.
Which is an interesting point to add is Pudilova's line is 65.5 significant strikes on Prize Picks.
I think it might be a little tad higher because she's going to fight a girl that's going to be in her face the whole time. And so I think it's going to be standing the whole time.
Probably a solid little over bet there then. So we'll get into the next fight. One of my favorite on this slate is Merab at minus 140 versus Jose Aldo plus 115.
Merab Wallace-Willie is a killer. First and foremost, there's nobody in any fighting organization has better cardio than this guy. He averages 7.5 takedowns.
He is the machine.
He has 12 in one fight. He set the record. And then the very next fight he broke it with 13. He never gives up. He has the Khabib mentality when it comes to takedowns. Even if you stuff him, he's going to keep coming, keep coming, and make you have to defend those. Where he's vulnerable is on the feet. Now, he's got good, fast wrestler striking. He's got good hands, and what makes him even better is he commits. So he just throws, and he throws heavy and hard. So you have to respect him on the feet, and then he's always working that. If this was a 5-round fight, Merab Wallace-Willie, I think he gets it into that fourth. Jose Aldo's a notorious fader, especially in championship rounds. You go back and watch him fight Ricardo Lamas. You even go watch him fight Mark Hominick back in the day. He ended both of those fights, dominated for 4 rounds. 5th round, he ends up fully mounted, getting destroyed in those rounds.
Aldo's good, though. He's a legend.
I got Aldo.
You got the upset here. I like it.
I don't know how he's a underdog in this. I mean, he's got the pedigree. He's one of the greatest of all time. He's the greatest leg kicker of all time. Even probably, I'm giving him the nod over Pedro Hizzo, the God when it comes to leg kicking in mixed martial arts. If the thing with Jose Aldo is he's fallen away from using those leg kicks a lot in his recent fights. He uses them in spurts. If he comes out, Merab in his last fight against Marlon Moraes, he got his leg destroyed in the opening seconds. Like he just got the leg was already hobbled. So if Aldo comes out and throws that leg kick early, that's going to take a lot of steam out of those takedowns. Jose Aldo, the number to remember, 90%. 90% takedown defense in his career. The only way he really ends up on his back is from being knocked down, like against Max Holloway.
Yep.
That's how Max Holloway ends up on top of him and gets credit for takedowns and stuff like that. Jose Aldo, 90%. Very tough to get down to the mat, and I think he's got the hand speed. Merab struggles with speed. Moraes had the hand speed, had everything going early in that last fight, and Jose Aldo can do that, and he's more technical.
Who in all those fights of that is been successful with taking him down?
I think Peter Yan had some takedowns. That's his most recent fight. Late in that fight, again, that was probably because Aldo came on in the middle of that, won the 2nd and 3rd round, so probably like the 4th round, I think is what it did go for. Yeah, it went 5 rounds. That's pretty much it. Volkanovski, I can't remember if Volkanovski had any takedowns in that fight, but he got pretty much dominated in that one. Let's see, Volkanovski, but yeah, I don't think anybody can really bring what Merab's going to bring. And that
fight was kind of my point there, is just trying to judge, who has had some success versus him in that takedown department to see if Merab could do that.
Yeah, no, Alexander Volkanovski didn't have any takedowns. Nobody had any takedowns. Rob Font had 1 takedown in that fight.
Yeah.
And so
It's going to be a tough one for him to get down.
This is it. You know, can Merab get it to the ground, and can he survive early? I think it's going to be a tough. If I'm looking for Jose Aldo, I'm looking at maybe a finish early. I think it could go to. I think it's going to go. Probably could go to decision. But if I'm looking for value, I'm looking at a Jose Aldo finish because I didn't like how Merab's looked at certain times in his career on his feet.
Okay.
And if he's going to struggle and can't immediately get it to the ground, Jose Aldo's, that hand speed is still there. Even after all this time, that hand speed is still there. That liver shot, the 1-2 liver shot is a game changer when you attack the body like that. He's got some of the best hands. He could go straight into boxing and be very competitive just with his pure boxing without his kicks.
It's nice. I like the differences in styles. Those fights are always kind of interesting to watch.
Pretty much straight up classic wrestler versus striker right here with a guy who has great takedown defense.
So you're going Aldo. You got it on wax, huh?
I'm going Aldo, and then if you look at a TKO finish for him, plus 400. Plus 400 for a TKO, man. Has
Merab been finished?
Merab has been finished. He was finished in his second fight against I just won on him. Let's see. It was Ricky Simon, and he was finished at the buzzer. He got caught in a guillotine choke literally at the buzzer, and when the bell rang, Ricky Simon let go of the choke, and Merab couldn't answer. He couldn't answer the bell. He was like unconscious, trying to get up. So they technically waved him off and called it. He would have got to the decision. He would have lost the decision anyways.
Yeah.
But literally after the fight was over, he couldn't get up, and you have to be able to get up and get to your stool, or at least get to your feet. He couldn't quite do that, and so they waved him off. So he has been finished by submission.
By submission, yeah. It's interesting. All right, now we'll go to the next fight. We have Paulo Costa minus 400 versus Luke Rockhold plus 300. Now, this fight's interesting, not only as far as Costa versus kind of somewhat of a legend in Rockhold, but also the Rockhold stance lately, you know, just going all for fighters. He's been all over social media, and wherever he can tell people the fighters need to be paid more.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I like it. I think these guys should be making a lot more money to step in there and do this. Especially, I think they should have their sponsorships. Back in the day, they used to have their whole shorts used to be sponsorships. Should at least be given some sponsors to be able to put on the shorts. Bellator, PFL, all these other places allow them to do it. So I like that. But where's his mind at? You know, he's been inactive for another 2 years. He was inactive before that. He's coming off of, you know, vicious knockouts. His chin's not where it used to be. In his prime, Luke Rockhold was one of the best fighters in the world at one point before he came over from Strikeforce. Right around the time he came over from Strikeforce. I mean, he has wins over Michael Bisping, Tim Kennedy, Jacare when Jacare was a killer. He's got some big wins. He was the champ briefly. But, you know, his chin isn't the same, and you just don't know what you're going to get out of him. But Luke Rockhold, I say this. If he can get takedowns, this is the game plan, Luke. You get inside, you wait for some of those big strikes from draw out some of those big strikes from Costa, get to that clinch, get the trip takedown. Nobody has top game like him. When he fought Chris Weidman, as soon as he ended up in that top position, it was over. That fight was over. Khabib has talked about it before. He says the only two people that he's ever met that he's trained with that have top game as strong as his is Luke Rockhold and Islam Makhachev. And it's based on that squeeze when you're on top, the leg squeeze, being able to squeeze your legs for like as tight as you can for like 15 minutes and not get tired. If he can get that top position, there's going to be a ton of value for him. If Paulo Costa throws bombs, nothing but bombs, and he throws. I'll say this though, he telegraphs a lot. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right legs. It's all right hands. It's just very few combinations. So if Luke can draw that out, Luke's got a crazy. He's all left hands, all left legs. So it's kind of like these guys, you know, southpaw versus orthodox fighter, power versus power. Luke Rockhold's left leg is nasty. It's a legendary at AKA Gym in San Jose. They say he's the best kicker that they've ever seen go through there, and there's been a lot of killers go through there. So you know, strike for strike, I just think his hands aren't as good as Costa's on the feet, and if he gets stuck standing, it's only a matter of time till Costa lands something. Yeah, especially the chin that we've seen out of him lately. But you do see some value with Rockhold there, then? I would, yeah. You know, do you know what his ownership is? It's not very high. Compared to some of those other people, he could definitely, if he's able to get this fight to the ground. It looks like he is the second lowest owned fighter
probably around that 7-10% range.
If there's any little bit of the old Luke Rockhold still left, this kind of reminds me of Gustafsson fight. Gustafsson coming back, and I just get that feel Gustafsson just got smoked when he came back in like a minute. I kind of get that feel with Luke Rockhold. But, I mean, if there's any little bit of the old Luke Rockhold, he would tool Paulo Costa.
Yeah.
Tool him. I'd take him to the ground, probably beat him up on the feet with his legs, and then take him to the ground and dominate him on the ground. Yoel Romero, that was a tight, close fight, but then he got caught against the cage. And his last win wasn't since 2017 against David Branch. Now, no disrespect to David Branch. He was World Series of fighting champion for a little while, but that's his last win since he got knocked out by Michael Bisping and lost the belt. So it's
a while ago.
It's a while ago.
It was a minute.
He's only fought twice since 2017.
Yeah, so there's a lot of question marks as far as what we think there. One thing is, with that much time and not that much, fighting, maybe his chin has came back a little bit.
It could be. He could be rejuvenated. He's back again at middleweight. So his last fight was at 205. Yep. I always get iffy when I see fighters go up in weight. That just kind of, to me, most of the time means I don't want to make weight.
Yeah, they're getting lazy.
And you're not gonna. He didn't look the same, when he's cut and trim, and even Paulo Costa just made weight this morning.
Costa looks like a killer too.
Savage. And if you remember his last debacle when he's fighting Marvin Vettori, the fight was at 185, and then they're like, "Are you going to make 185?" He's like, "No, I'm not going to make weight. Okay, let's make it at 205." I don't even remember if they made it at 205. Yeah. So he gave him 20 more pounds, and it was a whole fiasco. But he made weight. He said USADA came into the room this morning and poked him and, was drawing blood and all this stuff. So he was mad. Paulo Costa, if you look at the difference in their demeanors going into this fight, Paulo Costa was mad this morning making weight because of the whole USADA thing and people saying that he wasn't going to make weight. And he kept saying, "I'm going to make weight." And then you look at Rocco, who kind of looks like he's kind of, here for other reasons. Paulo Costa finished, man.
And in the press conference, I don't know if you saw it at all, Costa was calling him out kind of for that stuff too, just that he wasn't totally there.
Yeah, I mean, and look, you're getting called out by Paulo Costa, who's not always there. I mean, you remember the Adesanya fight? It was the worst game plan of all time. Stand in front of Israel Adesanya, get your leg kicked, and every time you get punched in the face, just go, until you're dropped. That was the worst game plan of all time. So you're getting lectured by Paulo Costa. It's never a good thing.
Hey, it's also never a good thing, though, that Costa's fight IQ would allow him to do that.
Yeah.
Which makes plus 300 look a little bit better.
You know what? The more we talk about it, I like Luke Rockhold. I mean, I've been hard on him because he's, an arrogant dude and, outside. But as a fighter, I mean, this dude was one of the best. I mean, tough dude.
Yeah, and Prize Picks has the Lion fight time at 7.5 minutes there. So it's kind of a toss-up there.
Yeah, I think it'll probably happen later. I mean, it all depends on his chin.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at Rocco, man, wins over Lyoto Machida, Michael Bisping, Chris Weidman lost to Vitor, but Vitor was like super Belfort on the roids. Tim Kennedy, Jacare. I mean, he's got.
I mean, he has a who's who of who he's won against.
Poway High School Ultimate Fighter winner Jesse Taylor, who I graduated with.
I like it. All right, so enough of Rockhold and Costa. We'll move on to the main event. Kamaru Usman minus 400 versus Leon Edwards plus 275.
Okay, so
now this is an interesting one.
They're betting down Edwards because he was plus 300. He was
that was of last night. I have not checked again this morning, so it could have changed a little bit.
I think there's a lot of value on Edwards, man.
So that we talked a little bit before the show. When I saw this, I thought Usman was going to be minus 600. More that I look, and from talking to you, I'm coming around on Edwards a little bit more. What are you thinking? What do you see here?
Here's the thing about Leon Edwards. He's technically sound on the feet. He's technically sound. He's hard to hit flush. You saw him and you're like, whoa, what is his last fight? He almost lost against Nate in the last minute. He just got caught. He was salting away the last minute of a complete dominating, victory.
Like, Diaz should have finished him there. He very well should have. He stood there and, pointed at him and did all the things. That's a big reason why I think that he should be, or that Usman would have been minus 600.
The only thing is that that's the only time I've ever seen that happen to Edwards. So if you guys don't know, this is the second time they fought. They fought 2015. I don't think there's a whole lot you can take away from that fight. I think their styles are completely different. You have Kamaru Usman, who wasn't even using the southpaw stance anymore back then. He's a dual stance fighter who's got power in his left hand, power in his right hand. He's a much better striker. He's never been a intricate bob weave, counter striker. He's straightforward, straight backwards. His defense isn't great. He's stiff and upright, so he takes a lot of shots. But you cannot. Nobody has the devastating power that Kamaru Usman hit. When he hits you, it's 4th of July fireworks. Something just happens to you. You see it. Just people melt as soon as they get touched by him. It's crazy. Yeah. And so, but I think Edwards, in the first fight, it was all Usman getting him up against the cage and controlling him against the cage. Got some takedowns and salted away the time, but didn't do anything with the takedowns. Leon Edwards' takedown defense has gotten much better. He's about 70%, I think, takedown defense. He's got very good grappling, especially from his back. He can get back to his feet, scramble back to his feet. The times where you've seen there might be holes in his game is definitely his takedown defense and his ground game, but his striking is he's a low output striker, so you have a guy in Usman who's going to outstrike him, on the stats cards, about 4 over 4, maybe 4.5 significant strikes. Leon Edwards probably about 2.5 significant strikes. But he's straight down the middle. If you watch Kamaru Usman, this is what we were talking about. If you look at the first Jorge fight, if you look at the Gilbert Burns fight, both the Colby Covington fights, he has trouble with speed, especially early. All those fights could have been won in the first round and Usman wouldn't be the champ. He wouldn't be in the greatest of all-time conversation. So
they couldn't finish him.
They could not finish him. And then, he starts landing jabs and they start, going and crumbling. I don't think that's going to happen to Edwards. I think he's tough to hit, real clean. I think if he uses his speed, here's the thing that is going to come down to Edwards. He's going to have to go for it more. If he's going to come out with the same output, the same 2.5, it's not going to work for him. It's not going to happen. He's not going to do enough damage. If he goes out there and puts combinations together and he commits to going forward and gets Kamaru Usman moving backwards, he's going to he's got excellent kicks. And what I like about his kickboxing, fundamental kickboxing, where I teach kickboxing, you start with the hands, you finish with the kicks. If you start with the kicks, you finish with the hands. And that's what he does. That's day one fundamental kickboxing. He'll throw nice tight 1-2-3 punch combo and finish with kicks. His kicks, I think, on the feet, I think that's going to be the difference in this fight on the feet. I think this is closer to I'm going to say it, toss-up. I think this gives me the same feeling that I had a few weeks ago with Taylor Santos versus Shevchenko. I didn't pick Taylor Santos. I all but picked her. I wanted to, and I think she won that fight. I think she got completely robbed. She won the first 3 rounds of that fight. But I said it was the first time that she had, Shevchenko had somebody who was just as fast as her, had skills and physicality that can meet up with her. I think Leon Edwards has all those things too. I think he's going to be tough to get down to the ground. Maybe Usman gets him down early, but maybe that fades off late. And if he can... If Edwards can defend those takedowns early, Usman's to a place where he is with his striking now that he might say, screw it, I'm going to stand and bang now. It might not be worth him to go for those takedowns anymore because he's so much better on his feet than he was way back. Back in the day, he had to get fights to the ground. It's just big overhands. That's all he had. Now he's technical.
He was a wrestler before.
All wrestling. And he still has that. You saw it when he fought Jorge. He implemented a wrestling takedown. I think that's the game plan he's going to try to come out and implement. The exact same one as the first Jorge fight against Edwards. But if he can't have that same success, he's not going to be shy away from standing up. And I think Leon Edwards is a better striker. I think just pure, technicality. I think Leon's a better
finish.
I think he can catch him. I think he can catch him with that speed, but it's going to have to be early. He's not going to. He's going to take. By the time you get to the 4th, 5th round against Usman, you're battered. You're going to have so much damage. He's going to have to get him in round 2 or round 3. Maybe catch him sometime early in the first round with that speed down the middle if he's able to get those takedowns, get off, stay away from the fence, stay in the middle of the octagon. Leon Edwards has to stay in the center of the octagon. Don't get out into that to the warning track area with your back up against the cage. You don't want to be trapped up against there because that's what he's looking for. I think there's a ton of value in Edwards. I'm picking Usman. I promised Usman the first time he fought Colby Covington that if he beat Colby Covington, I would never pick against him for the rest of his career, and he broke Colby Covington's jaw. So I will always pick Usman, but I'm dropping 20 on Leon Edwards.
For
sure.
All
sure.
right. I like it.
Just straight up. I mean, because I think it's a real tough fight. I think it's a tough fight for Kamaru Usman. It's tougher than the Jorge fights.
Hey, it's tough to put it on wax when a guy is that big of a underdog.
Yeah.
And against a killer like Usman to say that Edwards has a legit chance.
And Usman has two ways. He can beat you on the ground. He can beat you standing up.
There's a reason he's the champ. He's going for, 17 in a row?
16.
Oh, he's going for 16.
This will tie Anderson Silva's record of most dubs in a row.
So it's crazy. It's a big win for him.
16-0 in the UFC.
Puts him up with, some of the greats.
And his brother just won a UFC contract, just won the Ultimate Fighter 2 weeks ago.
That fight was great.
Nasty.
Nasty.
I bet on that fight. I won on that fight.
I cannot believe. It looked like he didn't even punch that hard, and he just dropped him.
That little check. It just came out, and he was getting kind of pieced up.
He was.
In that first round.
And the output wasn't there.
No.
But he got the
power.
shot.
When you have power like that, it doesn't matter. It's like Cheeto. It's like Cheeto Vera. I mean, he was losing that fight. Do you think he was losing until he put Dom away?
Yes.
He was just getting outworked.
He was getting outworked. It was close though. It wasn't like he was head and shoulders definitely
because he was getting those knockdowns.
Yeah, exactly. It was those knockdowns that.
So you had damage versus output. Yeah, basically like and Usman, he's not a high output, super high output guy, but if he touches you a couple times,
man, Cheeto just
Cheeto's
dropped
a killer.
him though.
He's a killer.
He is.
He broke his nose.
It's fun. You saw it.
It was just like instantly.
You saw it.
I've been there, so I know how that feels. But Cheeto, man, give him the title shot. How would
it's time.
Give him TJ versus the winner of TJ versus Aljamain Sterling. Throw a wrench in the whole thing. Give Cheeto that shot. I mean, that's crazy.
It's about time that he gets it. That's for sure. And that'll be a fun fight too.
I mean, dude's crazy. I mean, he's like the Terminator, just walking him down the whole time.
I know, it's crazy.
Emptying all his ammo in him. He just keeps coming and just one shot puts him down. One kick puts him down. It's nuts.
But, I mean, we know Cruz just lacks power. And if Cruz had any power, he would have ended that fight.
How many clean shots did he land? That if he had any power, he puts all those. He'd never lose.
But it's just like being slapped by like your little brother as a kid or something. It just like doesn't really matter.
That's the problem with Dom is that his movement is revolutionary. I mean, his movement is crazy, but he's just never. His movement is so much that he never sets his feet, so he can never sit down on punches. So you see him arm punching all the time, and then you see a guy like Tito just sitting down, and that's what Usman does. He sits down on those punches. So,
all right,
there you have it.
Well, that'll do it, guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below. Let us know what you think of the show. Keep coming back. Make sure you subscribe. And also a reminder that LineStar prices go up September 8th for the NFL season, going from $19.99 to $29.99. So lock it in. Get it. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you next time.